Hello Whimsy stamps, welcome. So let's make a card, and we're going to make this one right here. So let me go over the products we're going to use, and we're going to get started, because believe it or not, there's a lot to do to make this little card. We're going to use the Snowball family stamps. We're also going to use some of the No Fuss masks, which if you've never used these before, but you kind of like masking, but you don't like to go to the trouble to make the masks, these things are genius. We're also going to be using the Holiday Snow Globe, both the stamp and the die. For a small piece of background paper, I'm using this Cozy Winter set, which has been around for a while, but I just love the colors in this, and we're going to use the ones that kind of look like a snowy background. There's a few in here that will work. For my frame, I'm going to be using the Sprinkle Scallop frame. And then I'm going to be using, this little holly frame, just for these 2 leaves and some berries. All right, let's get started. I'll set this over here. And first, let's kind of go over my color palette. I'm going to be stamping my images in my globe in the blue raspberry, because I want those to stand out a little bit more than the other things. For the snow and the ground, I'm going to use Skylight. For my tree, I'm going to use Bay Breeze, and I'll kind of set these out. For the items that are going to be red, I'm going to use Peppermint Scrub. And then for just the arms and his eyes, I'm going to use a little cargo. So what I think I might have come back with a pen. I might have decided against using the cargo, but this is kind of the color palette of what we're going for today. And I might end up using cummerbund. I don't know, I can't decide. So let's get started. I've gone ahead and I have stamped out the inner part of our snow globe, and this is going to be kind of what we work with here. I'm going to go ahead and pull this off, and we can stamp using my mat here that I normally ink blend on, but it works very well as a stamping mat as well. So let's see here. I have the ground piece that comes out of our snow globe set, and I am going to stamp that in some Skylight right down here on the bottom of our globe. Now, the way the Whimsy Stamps Holiday Snow Globe is made, it's not a perfect circle. It's got a little bit of a flatter edge right down here, and that kind of helps you find where the bottom is. So we're going to just stamp this just right in there. Nice, good impression, just like that. And I also have, I think I'll wait on Snowflake. Let's go ahead and do our tree next, because that'll help us position our snowman. So I'm going to go ahead and pull this off and put this back here just so it doesn't stick. And I've gone ahead and loaded my tree where I need it to be. And we're going to do this using the Misty. Let's see, yep, that's right where I need it. So we're going to do this in the Bay Breeze. I think sometimes it is fun to use these kind of teal greens instead of like green greens. It's kind of fun to use these kind of teal colors for your greens. So that's kind of what we're doing today. Ah, yeah, that stamped great. All right. So now we can go ahead and we're going to do a little masking. And debating whether I should do this in the Misty or just on a block. I think we'll just try a stamping block. So here are some of the masks. When you these I have used before, but they were perfectly fine to use again, and we're actually going to cut them up this time, so I thought it would be nice to just go ahead and use these that I've used once before. Here, let me get it off of this. And this is just a piece of wax paper that I stored them on. There we go. And we're going to cut off the top part because that is the only part that we want masked. So I'm just going to kind of cut his top of his head off just like that. Now I'm going to set him about right there. Yeah. All right, now this is where he'll be, I think. Let me see how he does here. Yeah, that's about right. That's going to work for us. Okay. And I'm going to grab... I don't trust myself to stamp exactly on my mask. If I was doing this in my Misty, I would have that all positioned. But I'm going to actually... That helped me get the position right, but this is going to protect so that I don't mess it up. So we're going to go ahead and stamp. Let's see. Let's use the blue raspberry. Okay. And I'm going to grab my wiping towel here. I just want to wipe off his little hand because that is not covered by the mask. Right here, his little arm that comes down. So, try to get that in there without that. Okay. Now, there we go. All right, that worked pretty good. Now, as it turns out, I probably didn't have to cut my mask because I could have used this, but I hadn't thought of that until right when I was going to stamp it. So sometimes, you know, the best ideas come to you right in the moment. So I am going to save this part because I will be able to use that again. There we go. We'll go ahead and save this part as well. Okay. Alright, so now that we have our little man in here, I have pulled out just an older stamp, and I'm not even sure the set this comes from, but it's just a hat. And there's several sets that have different hats in them. And so this is an old, it's a Whimsy stamp set, but it's much, much older, so it is not available anymore. But if you have any kind of hat, you can even freehand draw a hat. Hello, Kathy. How are you today? I'm glad you caught me live as well. Okay, we're just going to stamp a hat on his head, and I'll tell you why I decided to do a hat, and that's because in my final design, I felt like we needed to balance the red, that there just needed to be a little more red, so that's why I found a Christmas hat that would fit our little snowman. So you could just go through your stash or just take a marker and draw yourself a hat. That's another way to get a hat in there. Alright, so I also have 2 snowflakes, and we are going to stamp a few snowflakes in our background. And I'm going to kind of stamp them around. And you can see some of them I kind of put off the edge, so you're not seeing all. I'm going to stamp some of them in the cummerbund color as well. Alright. Now one thing that I didn't do in the first, I'm going to leave that open, we're going to use that in my first design, but I kind of wanted to do for this, is I have some extra little, the snowball, or snowball or Christmas ornament that's in his hand. I'm going to do it like it's a Christmas ornament, so I have another Christmas ornament right here, and I'm going to stamp a few of those on our tree. And I'm going to do that in the red, just as if he's been decorating this Christmas tree. So we're going to put one up here, maybe one up there. So just a few there. Okay. And then I also have this little bow. It's like a red bow, and all of these stamps come in our family, our snow family. And I'm going to put a little red bow on top of our tree. I thought that might be a fun little addition. I also thought it would be fun to kind of put a bow tie on his neck. So since I already put it on his tree, we won't put it on his neck because that might look a little silly. But I thought that would be another fun thing you could do, is use a little bow tie as for his neck. Alright, so now that we have this much done, I will cover that because we're going to do a little bit of coloring first. So I have some colors pulled out right here. And with my 3 blues, I have B41, B4 zeros, and B2 zeros. And we're just going to do a little bit of shading on some of our pieces. So I'm just going to do some flicking on our snowman here, give him some shadow, kind of fill him out a little bit. I don't know that I'll use all of these. Might do just a little bit of dotting here on my snow, but it stamped really, really well, so I don't think I need to do too much. Okay, I think that's fine. I don't think we're going to need that one. I also have 3 colors of red, and I think I'm just going to use the 2 darkest. I'm going to use the R89 and the R37, and we're going to go ahead and color his hat. And I'm just kind of giving it a striped every other one. I'm doing the darker, and then I'll come back with the lighter. And then I'll also color the Christmas ornaments with this same combination. There we go. And like I said, this was just to kind of bring in that red color into my design here. So to do the Christmas balls, I'm going to color them with this darker one. Kind of making a circle. I'm leaving that center open, and I'm going to come back with the lighter color and kind of blend over that, and that'll give our ornaments some shadow. There we go. Now I did have this other red here that we can go around, kind of do a little more blending on those. There we go. Alright, for the last thing, oh nope, not the last, I'm sorry, we're going to come in with one of our browns, and it doesn't matter which one, and I'm just going to dot his eyes, and I'm also going to trace his hands, because you know we can't have our snowman with blue arms. That just doesn't look right. There we go. And let's go ahead and do his mouth. I don't know if I did his mouth in the first one. I just left his mouth blue, but this time, there we go. All right. Now I'm going to come in with a little bit of the ink, and I believe I have the skylight here on my brush, and we're just going to go right around the edges, and that's going to provide a little bit. Oh, well, thank you about my coloring. You know, when I color live on a video, my hand shakes so bad that I make silly mistakes. I'm a much better colorer when no one's watching, but it's okay. So I'm just going around the edges here with my skylight, and that's just going to add a little bit of the shadow when we put our snow globe together. But I'm being sure to leave the center white. And I'm also going to add a little bit of this blue raspberry, just to kind of brighten it up. Don't want it to be too, you know, I don't know the right word. I'm having trouble talking today, but like overcast. You know, we don't want it to look like it's not a sunny, pretty day. So put a little bit of that color in there too. Okay, I think we've got that mostly. You know what? I almost forgot. We have one more piece that we need to color, so let's go ahead and color this. Forgot Forgot about that. And we'll do our 3 browns to do that. I'm going to start with my darkest brown. You shake whether someone's watching or not. That's funny. Yeah, well, that happens to us, I know. So I like to start at the corners and like flick out with my darkest color. And I'm kind of just not paying attention to the levels. I'm doing kind of all of it the same. And I'm going to do that from both sides. A lot of this is going to be covered up with my decorations, so I'm not getting too fancy here with my coloring on this, but maybe go a little bit further on that. Okay, now I'm going to take my second darkest color and kind of overlap, but flick it on out. Turn it and do the same thing. I'm going to go ahead and do across the back there and maybe connect down here. And now I'm going to take my lightest color and blend these two sides together. That may not have been the right color, but it's going to be okay. And go ahead and go over that. Not a good time for your marker to get dry on you, but I think we'll be able to get it there. And I'm going to go ahead all the way over. All right. So that is going to be our base. Coloring is actually one of my favorite things to do. So I do it a lot in my personal crafting. I love to just sit and color. When I'm on vacation, I will often just stamp tons of images, and I put my Copics like in a little carrying case, and I'll take them with me on a cruise, all over the place. You can find me over in the corner coloring. So, all right, I'm just going to grab our die set. Here we go. And we're going to go ahead and die cut these 2 pieces. There we go. Some tape over here. And you want to use your larger of the 2 circles. The die comes with a, whoops, up here. You've got an inner and an outer. So with these 2, you can make your kind of rim to go around the edge, but we want to use the bigger one to cut this out because we want to be able to glue our top right on top. If you use this smaller, then it's going to set inside and our glitter won't stay where it needs to be. So we want to use this one. And you kind of have to play with it to get it just right. There we go. That's pretty good. One thing that I have done in advance is I stamped the words Happy Holiday, and I heat embossed those with some gold embossing powder, and that is going to be our sentiment. And that little phrase comes from our Snow Family stamp set. Oh, like coloring on vacation? Yeah, it's when I first started coloring, I was really intimidated. And I mean, there's so many fantastic colorists, especially some of these dear ladies that craft for Whimsy. There's some of these ladies are true artists, which I'm a colorer that's literally just for kind of crafting. But I have found that over time that you get better, you learn some things. So I would say I'm not a beginner anymore, but there's still lots I'd like to learn. But I did kind of overcome that feeling of being afraid to try. You know, I mean, I am more adventurous to just like try coloring it and not worry about how it turns out. Like, you can always do it over. Okay, so I cut out 2 of the frames, and on one of them I have attached some acetate, so hopefully you can see that. And I circled around it with some double-sided adhesive so it'd be nice and secure, and I have done that already. Now the other one that is just a paper one, we're going to go ahead and glue that right on top right here. I like the additional red pieces that were on our piece. In fact, I probably wouldn't have had to go on in search of the hat if I had thought about putting some of the ornaments on the tree the first time. But I do like the addition of more of that red and a little more scene building going on inside of our globe. I think that looks nice. Okay, try to get that on there. There we go. All right, before we go any further, I'm going to take a glitter, one of these. This one's a Wink of Stella, but lots of companies make these. And we're just going to color in our snowman, put a little bit on our snowflakes and maybe on the ground here, just to get a little more glitter going on. You may not be able to see that on the screen. And now I'm going to take some pretty glitter and I'm going to put it inside our globe. Now this one that has the acetate, I'm going to go ahead and apply my glue, and you want to make sure you have no gaps in your glue, or you want to use double-sided adhesive that will have no gaps. Make sure that goes all the way around. Otherwise you're going to be dumping glitter on whoever shakes it. That might be fun too. Kind of, yeah. Oh, oops, sorry. You got a lap full of glitter. I saw a meme or something where it said, establish dominance. Put glitter in your Christmas cards. I'm like, my mom would kill me if I sent her a card full of glitter. Alright, so we got that all the way around. And hopefully I didn't put it on too thick because we don't want it to ooze out. But just going to put that right on top of the other one. And you don't want to shake it yet. You want to let that completely dry and adhere before you move that glitter around. Alright, so I've got this all down. And while we do our other parts, I'm going to set this over here with a block on top to kind of hold that down a little bit. Put a little weight on that. Okay. Alright, so now I've got my background cut 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. I've made one of our frames in this fun kind of more of a brick red rather than a bright Christmas red. I was using some of those gray toned colors for this card. Just like I'm a fan of coloring with markers, I like playing with color. I like putting together different color combinations. So yes, that it's an imperfect circle makes it a little easier to line up, believe it or not. You have that little straighter edge down there. It's easier to find which way it's supposed to sit. I guess if it's a perfect circle it doesn't matter, but it seems to make a difference. Okay, now we're just gonna center this in there. Alright, when I cut this piece out, I left this hanging out of the edge. So you can see it only cut around this part. So I'm going to go ahead and cut around that with scissors around the top part. And I did that on purpose because the way this die works is it cuts out this part right here. So if you wanted to make your globe out of like vellum or something, you could make it so that that didn't show through. But I went ahead and I just cut the bottom out, and now I'm just going to use my scissors to go ahead and take off that, to cut around the top. because it's a little bit easier to construct my whole piece here if it's all together. That way I can kind of glue it all together and then put it on my card all as one piece. Okay, so let's set that aside. And let's see. Oh, I know. I need to grab my paper trimmer, and I've got my Happy Holidays right down here, so I'm just going to trim that out. And I want it to be a pretty small little strip because I want it to fit right in here. So, that in there straight. There we go. And now I'm just going to trim off the ends. And I think this end I'm going to maybe leave open. I'll see if I'm going to trim that. Yeah, I'm going to leave it a little bit longer on that end. And we also have our 2 leaves and our berries in there that we're going to use to decorate right down there. But hopefully this is all good. And I'm going to apply my glue right up here. And let's glue on our snow globe. See how much easier that is by leaving that end? There we go. Okay, I'm going to turn it over, but I'm still not ready to shake it really. You really want that to dry well before you start shaking it. Okay, let's put some foam on. There's a chunk for that side. And I'm going to throw it over just a little bit. There we go. Okay, so this is really not a shaker card because, oh, looky there. It's shaking now. But what happens is, I'll go ahead and put this down before I talk about this. I'm just going to try to center it on there. What happens, because we didn't make like a big thick, like a shaker card, you put several layers there and you put foam so that it lifts up and you have plenty of room. With this, it's only raised like one level of paper. So what happens is that glitter actually kind of, I mean, I don't know if it's static or what, but it sticks to your acetate. So once you kind of shake it around, you're going to notice it just kind of, it looks like it's like falling in the air. You see how that is? And right now it's pretty much over my snowman. I can probably knock some of that over. But it's really cool the way it just it adheres up to your acetate. And it really looks like snow falling in there. Isn't that fun? Yeah, I just really like that. All right, let's go ahead and apply these. And it looks like I did put a little foam on the back of them. Sometimes I get foam happy, sometimes I don't. For the most part, this card doesn't have tons going on, so I probably put foam on there just to, you know, make sure there was plenty of interest. So I'm gonna set that just right there. And now going to just put a little strip on the back of our leaves. Oops. This way. There we go. Now I think on the large one I'm going to go ahead and glue it down, and then I'm going to put a little bit of foam on the small one and pop that up. larger one about right there. And then this one. There we go. All right, so that pretty much makes us finished. I hope you like the idea of kind of suspending your glitter there between your layers with your acetate and getting that kind of static going on. But it does shake if you want to shake it, and I'm not getting any coming out, so that's good. We let it dry plenty. And there we go. Look at that. Look at that fun snowfall. And even when you shake it around, you get a little bit of movement, but there's also quite a bit that's going to stay kind of adhered up to your acetate. So it gives a really neat effect to just put your glitter in there to stick to your acetate. Okay, I hope you like this idea. Thanks so much for joining me. If you like any of these products and you don't have any, they are listed below the video. I would love it if you give us a thumbs up, and if you want to share this video on your social medias, that would be great. We love to, you know, get it before as many crafting eyes as we can. So I hope you have a wonderful day, and I look forward to crafting with you again very soon. Bye-bye.